because I think the engineering here in Hungary is a very, very important part of the economy, of the education. So the availability of engineers was one of the biggest factor behind that.
We spend a lot of time together. We were discussing yesterday that with Lukasz we spend more time than we spend with our families because we are in this team since 5 years ago. Growth has so many dimensions, and probably the biggest achievement when it comes to growth is not the numbers. It's the capabilities we managed to develop in the 5 years.
And responsibility taken by the team.
And the responsibilities. If you think it through and what's happening in the world right now and how the psychology of the customer changes, they will be after experiences. They will be after a driving experience, or they will be after an adventure experience.
Hello and welcome everybody back to Behind the Blueprint. As you can hear, I'm speaking English because we have two wonderful colleagues from JLR Hungary in the studio with us. Hi Daniel, hi Lukasz. Welcome to the studio.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Nice to be here.
Welcome.
And welcome to David as well. It's great
hi Janos again.
Yes, hi David. It's great that that this recording came together. We haven't seen each other for a pretty long while. Last time we met was at Formula Student East. How was it for you guys?
Amazing. We were trying to be the main partner for the Formula Student East for a long time. Unfortunately, we managed to do it in the previous years, but this year it was actually the coronation of all our expectations. Because we are engineers and we like measuring things. We actually had some surveys, some measurement after the event. We measured three main KPIs. I would say the first one, probably the most important, is the engagement of our people within Jaguar Land Rover, and we can tell you that boosted the morale of the team, being part of the event as judges, and just by being there and assisting to everything that was uncovered during the event was amazing. The second one, of course, it was our brand image. Remember during the event we were having a few people asking us if we sell cars. No, we don't sell cars. We are actually the engineering department within Jaguar Land Rover. And last but not the least is our ongoing recruitment. So throughout the last few months, our ongoing recruitment had a boost, and I am 100% confident it was thanks to the Formula Student event also. Wow. So thank you again for the opportunity.
I think I would add on top of that, it's been super amazing to be surrounded by all those young engineers, super talented people. It's been something that was truly eye-opening for us, at least for me. I've never took part in the Formula Student before. So that's been an absolutely amazing experience.
Fantastic. That was actually a more positive response than I was expecting. So it's really great to hear.
You have expected less, Janos. It's our own work.
Yeah, I just don't know.
From it.
It's even I couldn't have done a better advertisement for FS East than this. So thanks so much, and I'm really thankful that you felt this way, and we're happy that we could partner on this event, and I hope that next year this comes together just the same way or even better.
No spoilers.
I'm especially happy that you have pointed out that your internal engineering engagement was high and that they have enjoyed the event. Because I usually tell to partners that it's a great opportunity for your engineers as well to see some new ideas and a new environment, and it's worth to have a few days out from your normal loop and just discovering new ideas, and maybe something kicks in during those few days and your work is going to be much more efficient afterwards.
Exactly.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to mention that it's been a couple of days outside of the office, not necessarily a kind of off work, because that's been also very closely related to what we do every day. So it's been just changing the office environment and moving to the test track, which was brilliant.
Yeah, I think the Hungaroring is quite a nice office to be at, especially when it's filled with small race cars. So it's really great that you think about it this way, because we often say, we always say that it's hard work, and it is hard work because you have to have technical conversations with talented people, and you have to drill deep into the technology, and you really have to be on top of your game to do that. So
totally. And I need to share a personal experience here. I've been promoted to the coolest dad in the world title.
Nice.
Because throughout the event, I had the chance to drive the brand new Defender on the Hungarian track, and my son was sitting next to me, and it was super. He was super excited about it.
Well, congratulations on being the coolest dad.
Thank you.
And I think that's a well-earned title, well-deserved title. If you want to see those images, and I'm speaking here now to our audience, just check out our summary video from Formula Student East 2023. We have those cool shots of the Defender and some of the race cars on the track, and I think it was really awesome. Great. Well, it's good that you mentioned that some people actually asked you if you sell cars, because today's topic is going to be focusing on your company's operations in Hungary, and actually it's more than just the operations. It's about how JLR Hungary came to be, and how a large OEM founded a specifically engineering focused department here in Budapest. I think what always interested me in this story is why this location, why Budapest.
Okay, so to answer your question, I do recommend you give us like 5 minutes to introduce ourselves, because our background is quite important within the answer of this question. So Lukasz, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Lukasz. I'm here in Budapest for the last 5 years, so from the very beginning of JLR Hungary. Before coming to Budapest, I've spent 12 years in our headquarters back in the UK. I'm a mechanical engineer by education, electrical engineer by profession, which is quite interesting.
Yeah,
right?
It's an interesting mix.
So you learn further.
Exactly. That's never-ending learning here. Before coming to Hungary, I was leading the acoustics and electronics engineering back in the UK, and that was my first task here as well.
Good friends with.
Yes, probably. Since my profession is also somewhat related to acoustics, at least.
Yes, Daniel.
Daniel Danciu. I'm in Hungary. We look at since the beginning of this project. I'm with JLR for the last 10 years. Throughout my career in JLR, I did a lot of technical management and project management positions. I had the chance of working in some of the most iconic cars that we can see right now on the streets. My career in JLR was focused mainly within interiors. But I did also exteriors, and I did also other commodities within the cars. I'm an electrical engineer that is practicing mechanical engineering.
You guys are the perfect match.
Exactly. So
haven't you considered to change roles and people?
There are no coincidences here.
We have a lot. So throughout our induction days in JLR, we are actually speaking a lot about our personal experiences. And this is just for the new starters, by the way, but you will see that the diversity of the management group in JLR is quite impressive. But coming back to me, so I'm married. I have a 11-year-old son, as I mentioned earlier, coolest dad in the world. When I'm not working, I'm a PlayStation 5 games geek.
Nice.
I discovered Baldur's Gate 3 recently, so that's actually covering a lot of my time. Other than that, spending time with my family.
That's nice. And so from this side, it's not evident to me how and why Budapest was chosen, and how and why you guys got into the project.
Before we dive into that, how Budapest was chosen, that how do you decide that you need to open a new location at all? So you have many offices all around the world already, and when is the point to open a new one instead of scale up an already existing one?
It's a very good question. Me personally, I don't think I can track the answer to a very specific situation. But in a nutshell, like all big OEMs, we have flex resources that are working for us. We call them engineering suppliers. And when your flex resources are equal or higher than your permanent resources, then you ask the question, am I doing the right thing? You see what I mean? So I believe it's within Lukasz's area that this it was the light opened to someone within the leadership team. And I believe that was the small snowball that actually started rolling. And once the snowball was big enough, all the other departments actually joined the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there was a one single reason really behind this decision, but I think there are a couple of factors which were taken into consideration. And during the decision process, we have analyzed multiple places, multiple locations. We went for some scouting activities around Europe, and Budapest was chosen for a couple of reasons. I think we can talk about about those. One of them, and probably the most important, is the availability of the skilled engineers. I think the engineering here in Hungary is a very, very important part of the economy, of the education. So the availability of engineers was one of the biggest factor behind that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then if you think about the geographical position of Hungary, we have a manufacturing plant in Nitra and we have a manufacturing plant in Graz. Both of those manufacturing plants are within driving distance from Budapest. You see, so there is the logistic part of it also, because ultimately everything we engineer, we need to see them in manufacturing and we need to actually release them on the market. It's also the university system here in Hungary, and all the dual education that is being offered to the main companies here.
But I think another factor which Daniel have mentioned before about suppliers.
Just wanted to ask that the supplier network is quite grown out in Hungary already.
Exactly. So Central Eastern Europe, with Hungary being kind of in the middle of this region, is very rich when it comes to the supplier base.
Absolutely.
And as an engineering team, we of course work very closely with them. And it's one of the reasons for coming to Budapest was actually to be close to the suppliers, to the companies, to the people that we work with, because it's so much easier to hop into the car and get for a meeting or for a review rather than flying or
makes a big change to your daily working life when you can get through 2 or 3 productive meetings in a day with a supplier rather than just flying there, coming back, and then having pretty much one meeting during the day. So that's
absolutely,
I can understand it. And it sounds like that the placement of the location of Budapest itself is pretty helpful in that.
Yeah, but it's also interesting to hear and nice to hear that it is a reason to have already a quite strong automotive in the industry, because it's kind of a compounding interest effect that we had a supplier layer already, and because of that US and OEM have arrived, and because of that maybe the suppliers are going to increase their capacity because they have an OEM here, and that's just a snowball effect again.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to highlight, because having the Jaguar Land Rover office in Budapest as a hub for Central Eastern Europe when it comes to suppliers management, and actually created more for the local economy, simply because by being here, other suppliers decided to follow us in Hungary, and we have a few examples. I'm not gonna mention names, but we also have our strategical suppliers and partners that are close within, as Lukasz mentioned, within driving distance. So it makes total sense for us. Plus, JLR Hungary is not just about engineering. We have industrial operations also, and we have, and part of industrial operations, we have purchasing department, we have supplier technical assistant, we have logistics. So it's we have representation from all the major departments and all the major areas within Jaguar Land Rover here in Budapest.
Yeah, that's pretty good. The one thing that I don't want to focus too much on the supplier side of things, but one thing that came into my mind is that I'm not sure if this effect was noticeable, but I'm guessing when an engineering focused office is opening up in a new location, then different kind of suppliers come onto the market as well, because you can have the traditional sort of parts suppliers, and then you can have the sort of the service suppliers as well, like smaller engineering companies who can be part of your flexi resources. I'm not sure if this effect was noticed for you guys, or if you.
So that will not be the rule, I think, except 1 or 2 cases, and it's more closest to Lukasz's area. We are not focusing on engineering suppliers, So there are a lot of engineering suppliers right now in the Hungarian market, and we know that they are working mainly for the German OEMs. But we are in the place, and we may be a bit cocky, by the way, and we may be a bit, think highly of us. But if we would need to partnership with an engineering supplier for a certain project, I think the make versus buy type of approach will go through our mind. And what if I'm doing it in-house rather than buying it? Because ultimately I'm getting the know-how in-house, and next time I don't need to go out, find another supplier. So if I learn how to do it, I want to do it in-house.
So to make a right decision, pretty much.
Yes,
exactly. That's cool. That's the reason why I was asking that question, because I wasn't sure if really it was the part suppliers on it that was the focus. But that's really cool that that sort of the know-how is kept inside the company. Yeah. Once the location was chosen, were the activities that would be placed into this location defined before opening up the branch? So that came before, and that kind of went into the specific organization then. Of course.
Absolutely. I mean, coming to Budapest, we already had in mind what we want to do here, and of course that was the beginning. As we learned more about the local environment, this has been adjusted. We have expanded, but with kind of core activities we had already very strictly defined before we came.
Nice. Yes. And so, what were these core activities then to jump onto this bandwagon a little bit?
So I can speak within body chassis engineering. So when we started the body chassis engineering team here in Hungary, we had two main areas of development, two main axes that we are working on. So don't forget that everything comes with a budget, and everything comes, all our work needs to be delivered on a vehicle.
The harsh reality of real life.
Exactly. So the allocation we did for Hungary when we started this project was product delivery, we call it. So you had a podcast with Richie and Victor from my team. It's mainly that part of the business. So we were doing interior and exterior product development and delivery, and we were using those products to launch the new Defender within the Nitra manufacturing plant. Now I encourage everyone to look at that podcast if they want to have more details about how the Defender shaped actually the team here in Hungary. But what I want to mention is that few people know that Hungarian engineers contributed to the design and the delivery of the new Defender on the market. And this is something that happened starting from 2019 up until now. You see?
Last time I did my haircut, the hairdresser girl told me that her favorite car is a Defender. And I asked her that, does she know that it was partly designed in Hungary? And what? I doesn't know that.
So people need to be very proud. People need to be very proud.
I think that was a big eye opener for me in the podcast with your colleagues as well. That a large chunk of the development was done here in Hungary, and that's not really been spoken much about. So it was great to discover. That's why I also you actually took my job previously. That you encouraged our audience to go and check out the previous JLR podcast. But I also do that because I think it was pretty great.
But that was only the body side, and again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a small snowball that started to roll out.
Yes, for electronics acoustic case, we were not that much involved in the initial launch of the Defender. However, the first activities which we've started here in Budapest back in early 2019, that was related to the audio and electronics. So we've started with supporting development of the electronic modules, parts of the infotainment system, and then. Over the years, we've been gaining more experience. We've been growing as a team. We've started taking more and more responsibilities for electronics.
Nice.
Yes.
And so these are, besides these two departments, you mentioned also supplier support and logistics and industrial.
So industrial operations
as
it's
well?
Under the industrial operation umbrella, you have correct me if I'm not, Lukasz, we have purchasing department, and they couldn't be upset with me by calling them purchasing.
It's procurement now.
Okay. Sorry. We have MPNL, which is the logistic department, so it's in charge of the logistics. We have supplier technical assistant, which is the supplier technical assistant is one of the interesting jobs, to be honest with you, within JLR, because it makes the link between engineers and procurement.
Okay, that's
it's exactly
that's normally a discussion and not
it's
a
exactly
not
it's
a
exactly in the middle. So translates engineering language to procurement.
Nice.
And we have also, of course, support functions like a bit of finance, like HR.
Yeah,
of course,
just the general
yes.
Requirements to
yes.
run a business operation.
Yes,
and of course on the engineering side, we also have a group of ADAS or autonomous driving engineers, also based here in Budapest. This team is primarily focusing on the vehicle validation and testing.
Cool.
Yes.
That's a large breadth of activities. So it's, for every engineering taste, there is something to do.
Can you give us a feeling that how big your office have grown in the past year? So how many engineers do you have and how many personnel do you employ in Budapest in general?
So across product engineering, I think we are above 250 right now. I will not feel comfortable to give you the exact number. We know how much we're gonna grow, and we're gonna grow.
I think the important thing is to understand the scale of the operations. So it's not just sort of one small office somewhere next to university, but
so in fact, it's very difficult to say the size of the office because with the short break during the COVID, we actually never stopped growing.
Yes.
So actually, every month we are welcoming new people joining.
Cool.
So. Every time anybody asks, so how big is the team? It's like, okay, let me check that and I'll come back to you.
Let me check the last email from HR.
And we're having we spend a lot of time together. We were discussing yesterday that with Lukasz, we spend more time than we spend with our families because we are in this team since 5 years ago. And throughout our growth discussion, depends how you measure success, because you can measure success in numbers. You see what I mean? So if the numbers would be something that would matter the most, then I do believe we grew a lot. But it's not about that, because then, once you hit a number, then you're going to comply with yourself. You're going to be that in your comfort zone. Growth has so many dimensions. And probably the biggest achievement when it comes to growth is not the numbers, it's the capabilities we managed to develop in the 5 years.
And responsibility taken by the team.
And the responsibilities. We were discussing on our way back here, because of course, both of us being engineers, we don't go to this type of podcasts. We were discussing about what makes us unique. Jaguar Land Rover, and I'm not trying to create a recruitment marketing, by the way, so that's not my purpose here, but we own. We don't support. We own. And we're very, very proud of it. We managed to achieve a certain level of ownership. And when someone, for example, within the Jaguar Land Rover or mention product engineering Budapest or body chassis engineering Budapest or digital platform Budapest, they know exactly the type of capability we are delivering, and we are benchmark for the wider business. You see, this feeling, it's much more important than the numbers, and it was not easy to get here.
No, I bet. I mean, especially as a starting office, that's great that you're already there.
I think from the very beginning we had a one motto as a team, and that's been the case from the very beginning. We've been following the rule of multiple location, one team. So the Budapest team was never a peripheral standalone team. We've been always part of the bigger picture. And I think that's absolutely crucial, because that allows us, being based here in Budapest, to be involved in the same activities, the same projects as our colleagues in other locations. So, it's never been the case of kind of having a Budapest peripheral office working on own activities. We've been always part of the bigger picture.
Okay, that's also quite cool, because that was going to be one of the questions that I would ask. How is the Budapest office then integrated into the whole JLR? But then it sounds to me like you as JLR Hungary are not really thought of as a separate location. You are sort of an extension of the arms of the company headquarters.
We are one team, two locations, I would say. Now, to be completely honest with you, the road to achieve this type of situation, it was not easy because there were some factors throughout the years that didn't or helped our cause a lot. So if you think it through, we are a toddler right now. We are 5 years old. But if you think of the last 5 years, what happened in the region in the last 5 years?
That was quite a rough 5 years.
Exactly.
Yes.
We were baptized by fire, I would say. We were, I don't want to say forced, but we matured earlier, I would say. And it's about trust. You will never see myself as your equal if you don't trust me. You see what I mean? When it comes to engineering delivery, you see, because let's be honest, some of the know-how will stay in UK, and of all the strategy decisions will always be making in UK. This is the business model for all the international companies. You see, you need to have you need to have something like that. But involving you in the decision, it's a choice.
Yes.
You see, and we are at that level where product engineering Hungary, it is involved in the decision that the company is doing for the products and for the people.
So yeah, it's quite a success from Hungarian office point of view as well, but it's also, I think, a success from company culture point of view, because the more you are involved, the people in the front line of the work actually to the big decisions, the better decisions you are going to make, and that big companies they are sometimes failing with that and making decisions actually blindly because they are only relying on numbers and not on real world experience. And as you mentioned earlier, and I quite like this idea that you cannot really measure success only with numbers. My other favorite example for that it's nice to say that fluctuation is under a certain percentage, but it matters that what certain percentage is actually leaving your company. So only the number itself is not going to tell anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. And from the point of the UK office, that how successful they are feeling the opening of the Hungarian office. So was this choice confirmed by them that it was the right decision to make, or how comfortable they are with the current situation?
I think to answer that question, we would need to ask our colleagues over there. But to answer your question, I think the evidence of the success is the level of involvement our engineers have, and the level of projects and the level of responsibility that are handed over. Without, as Daniel have mentioned, without the trust and without the recognition, this wouldn't happen. So I think that is the best answer to the question.
And I will encourage everyone who listens us to go on Jaguar Land Rover YouTube channel and have a look at our reimagine strategy. And by listening to that, they will discover that there are a few pillars at the base of the reimagine strategy. And spoiler alerts, Hungary, it's one of the pillars.
Wow.
Yeah, I think trust in an engineering podcast might sound a little philosophical, but when it comes to making these strategic decisions from the side of an OEM, what you have to keep in mind is that these strategic decisions carry millions of revenue with them, and trust is very important, because when you are handing out responsibility, product development responsibility, which ultimately culminates in the success of your products on the market, then you do have to have a certain sort of insurance, or at least a little bit of a feeling that the party that you are relying on, that the party you are handing over this massive responsibility is going to live up to its name, because that's, I think, it's really a huge deal to be able to influence products like that. What were so how difficult was it to build up this trust, and what were the sort of steps that you took to do this?
So there are a few dimensions when we speak about trust. Delivery being one of them, engagement of your people being another thing. You mentioned attrition and you mentioned stability and fluctuation, because you are not going to be able to build trust, if you're fluctuation, if you're always in a circle, the vicious circle. Is there a moment in time when we actually said, yes, that's it? No, I don't think so. It was built throughout the years. And I can give you an example again, coming back to the Defender. The business decided to manufacture the new Defender in a completely new plant, which was in Nitra, Slovakia, with a brand new manufacturing team. How old were they when we brought the Defender? Like 6-8 months. I think not a lot of experience, I would say.
Wow.
In Nitra, and we speak about the Defender.
Yeah, that's a super key product.
We speak about probably the best sell car we produce. And this is back in 2017, 2018. Then we had, especially within body chassis engineering, we had 60-70% of the team from Hungary. So new engineers on a new manufacturing plant with a new team, you would say we are doomed to fail. You see what I mean? We succeeded, and we succeeded amazingly well. We delivered in time. We put our fingerprint on the development of the Defender. We showed people that they can trust us. We showed people that our problem-solving skills and our engineering background actually helped the business to deliver in time. I will make a very, very small parenthesis here. And I will ask a different question to your question is, how did we how did we use the Hungarian engineers to actually take on the responsibility? And let me explain you why. The majority of our recruitment base is tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers, okay, or people out of university. I hope no one is going to take this in the wrong way, but when majority of our people join JLR, they are very task-based, because that was the environment they worked in within their own former employments. They were under a trust is good, control is better type of work and life. So the moment we actually made these people, the engineer, understand that they are empowered to make their own decisions, make the decisions. It was mind-blowing for the majority of them. And whoever actually understood the message, and if I have an issue and if I have a problem, I am owning the problem. I am responsible to finding a problem solving. I need to use the business resources to actually resolve that problem. That's it. And then sky was the limit.
I just wanted to say that you mentioned that ownership is the real thing here, that you are actually owning some ideas and some project, or maybe some complete cars or manufacturing plants. And yes, I really like the story that you have mentioned, because I think it's a huge problem that if you give out tasks to people, they are also limiting the people as well. And you mentioned that you have succeeded very well. And if people are comfortable with taking ownership and they are realizing that it's really up to them that if they are going to make this happen or not, then sky is limit, as you mentioned. But unfortunately, a lot of environment are not really enabling such kind of behavior.
Absolutely, and I think listening to what Daniel has said, I was reflecting on the last 5 years. It may sound easy. Trust me, there was lots of work.
I don't think it sounded easy. I mean, not to me at least.
And I think the last 5 years show that if we really want to, we can achieve a lot. There is needed a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of skills, and we found that here in Hungary.
Yeah. I can imagine that now it's easy, but it doesn't seem easy, and now it can be easy because you have put in the effort in the past 5 years, and now the thing has some momentum and it rolls a little bit forward on its own. But for that to achieve, you have needed to put in hard work in the previous years and to build this up.
It was super exciting, I would say.
And let's not forget that in the last 5 years, we've mentioned that briefly, but the last 5 years, they were almost like a perfect storm. The events that happened across the globe. Just to mention the COVID. One pandemic happening once in a century. It happened. So we went through a lot of learning, and sometimes it felt that we are trying to run before we can walk. But ultimately, I think this was a really, really good example of how to get to the point where we want in maybe a little bit accelerated time.
Yes.
Then let's rewind, I think, a little bit, then 5 years, and then the decision is made that Budapest is chosen, and you are going to open an office here in Budapest. How it is happening that two guys are flying here from the UK, renting an office floor, and here is JLR, or
it was not just two guys.
I said
it was
three.
4. It was 4.
Okay. Well, I almost got it right.
But we had support. I would say we had some. I don't think it's fair to mention, but we had a bit of support from the local authorities. We had support from a consulting. We had consulting companies that helped us with that.
I mean, it's been always a team.
It was a team.
UK,
It was a team. We had a team in UK that actually was backing us up with everything. Don't forget, ultimately, we are still engineers, and our responsibilities as engineers were to build and to create our own departments. There was an army of people working behind us to make sure that we have all the conditions that we can deliver. You see, but we started in a very, very small office in Capital Square. It was a room much smaller than this one, I would say. Then slowly, April 2018, we opened our new location on Vaci Street, and since then we just grew organically within that space.
You make it sound so simple, but it's probably been a good journey. But I mean, I think
imagine being the first engineer hired to JLR Land Rover, and you are the 5th guy in the office.
Actually, you know the first JLR. You know the first product engineering.
Oh,
Victor Bihari.
Okay.
So he was the first product engineer hired within our areas.
Yeah, I think his motivation came through during his visit. And I think what I wanted to say is that I guess growth was helped by the engagement of the already working employees who got more and more responsibility throughout the years. Because I think one of the most attractive opportunities for engineers is when they can work in a creative environment which lets them grow, and I guess that kind of helped in building up the operation.
Absolutely.
Although before we get to the point where we had engineers, of course, there was tens and tens of interviews. So that was on its own a big task to start with that. And I think it was October 2018 when we've started this process, and throughout October, November, December, there were interviews happening, and from January, February 2019, the first people started joining product engineering team.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the sayings in Formula Student is to build an A-class car, you have to first build an A-class team. And that's the foundation of everything, and I guess it's just as much of a challenge. And I think that's universally true for every kind of product or service that you're delivering. That without the top team, you're not going to be able to perform well. So,
absolutely,
I can imagine that those were some interesting months to get to know a lot of people.
I never finished, to be honest with you, because throughout the 5 years we grew. Now I'm speaking about numbers. So you actually grew in COVID. We are. As mentioned, we reinvented ourselves in COVID. We did inductions throughout teams, which was an experience of its own.
I bet.
But ultimately, we are the sum of our experiences, and we are here in this moment because we went through all of those good and not so good experiences, and created a lot of resilience within the team, which is very, very important.
Yeah, I mean, resilience is one of the things that is so required in product development when you always see the deadline, and then the closer you get to it, there are still some more things to figure out, and there might be a test that sort of a validation test that doesn't go to plan, and then you have to return to the design. So you really have to have a team that is confident in its abilities to go through the problem solving once more and then once more until the right solution is found.
Exactly.
And what was the first moment of success? What you are remembering that, okay, we are on track and that's going to happen and that's going to work?
It's not the first. I think it's a series of events, and it's from I think recruitment was one of them. To be honest with you, the fact that we delivered our recruitment targets quite fast, I would say, and let me reassure you, our expectations are high. We have an amazing team. We are very selective with the engineers we want to hire. Okay, so but we're offering a very good recruitment experience also. So that would be one of them. Our delivery and day-by-day delivery, I think it's also something that reassured our headquarters that this was the right decision. And there are a lot of examples where, again, just by empowering the people and by not forcing them, but pushing them to think outside the box and get them out of their comfort zone, we did manage to innovate not only JLR Hungary, but also the entire JLR business within our area of activities of product engineering and engineering itself. And we can discuss hours about system engineering or model-based system engineering. What we like to say is we managed to put that pioneering type of approach in our engineers and our the people that we're working with, and the moment you understand that there may be another way and there may be another better way to do it, and you have the mindset to actually test it, learn out of it, and feedback back to the business, jackpot. So I think this is the skill, I call, if I can call it skill, that made the difference for us.
I think you've asked what was the moment when we thought that we are doing the right thing. For me, I think that was the moment when in one of the meeting with my colleagues from the headquarters, we've been talking about one of the technical issue, and the name of the Hungarian engineer based in Budapest came up as a go-to person to talk about the topic. And I thought, right, that's what we've been actually working for. That's what we wanted to do. And actually, that's where we are getting. So that was kind of the first moment when I thought we can make a difference.
It's good that it was required, that this sort of recognition came, and that's always, I know from experience as well that in these big companies, there's always, for every specific topic, there is one go-to person whose phone number you need if you want to solve those kind of situations. And it's great that the Budapest office got to that level. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing. That's always nice to hear that your colleagues are someone who is responsible for a specific topic across a global company, and be that expert. It's a very key role, and need to have high confidence from the outside colleagues to put such kind of qualification in Budapest.
Yes.
You spoke briefly about systems engineering already. So let's just touch upon a little bit about sort of how the activities are related within the sort of product development cycle of the product. So are you more focused on sort of pre-development, so conceptualizing the vehicles, or is it more, or are your activities more focused on the validation?
So both.
Okay.
By the way. Depending how you want to do the representation. If you want to do the representation on a linear way, like a product lifecycle management type of scaling, I will say we cover kind of everything from A to Z.
Yep.
You see what I mean? There are some very niche activities that we are not covering them here, but we do have delivery responsibility for the full product lifecycle management of a certain topic or of a certain commodity that we are doing on. If we think about the V model itself, Then there, as Lukasz mentioned, there are a few departments within product engineering, and we did manage to have very dedicated specialization within the departments. So although everyone is doing the same thing, the go-to person may be in a different department for that activity, and we call that community of practice.
Nice.
Okay, so if I am to think of the V model, now I'm speaking about body chassis engineering, and then Lukasz can explain about DPP. The core activities that we are doing within body chassis engineering are the left side of the V, and now I'm speaking feature design, system design, subsystem design, and attribute cascade. Then we have a small gap subsystem level that we are working on, by the way. And then we come back strongly on the bottom of the view with the mechanical integration. Okay. Within body chassis, we don't do a lot of right side of the V. We don't do a lot of hardware in the loop or vehicle validation. We do because we own certain products, but it's not our core activities.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's very hardware intensive activity. So I guess that would require a different kind of expansion as well in terms of the hardware and laboratory build-up and so on. So it's understandable that
which for DPP team, for Lukasz's team,
it's present.
Yes.
So for the other side of the product engineering, we are going to the V model. We are covering almost the entire V with the islands of activities distributed on it. Okay. We are involved in the early development of the electronics. We are involved in audio and acoustics engineering, with some activities being very unique, I would say, which are, for example, related to the virtual simulation of the acoustics in the vehicle. But also we have on a subsystem level, we have some testing activities happening on the test benches. Now, of course, you have mentioned that some of those activities require investment and the test rigs. Yes, however, we are also involved in testing on the equipment which is not necessarily physically present here, because don't forget that we can do a lot remotely, and actually the engineers are involved in some activities which don't require physically equipment here. We can connect to the equipment online and use it for certain activities.
I mean, electronics development, I assume also heavily relies on hardware in the loop kind of environments, and that's easily controllable from afar. So I mean, I think it's a sensible choice to set up teams like this, because the investment into and I mean the general trend in the automotive industry is going towards sort of less hardware based. I don't know if this is the case for JLR as well, but I'm assuming it's so. And it's just kind of heavy reliance on computational methods and simulations is
I mean, absolutely. Trend. I mean, of course, the left shifting of the activities, that's a general trend in any industry, I would imagine. But and that's the same case for automotive. Although with the heavy focus on the left shifting of activities into the virtual domain, there's not always possible to eliminate completely hardware. So, I don't think we will be able to eliminate it completely. One reason is, of course, the validation of the products already being here. I think that's where as a Budapest office, especially for the Digital Product Platform, we are trying to move it left to give us bigger flexibility on the development process. So we can try the ideas as early as possible before we even build physical models, and we can very quickly validate and eliminate the ideas which simply won't work in the real life, and we can then just select those that we want to try on the physical models.
The basic advantage of sort of the left shifting of the development activities. I think we spoke a lot about what you do and how you do it, but is there is there a USP of JLR Hungary within the group, or is there some specialty that you are renowned for already? I'm not specifically speaking about something technical, but you can also mention something like that. But is there something that kind of lifts you out of the entire environment of JLR?
Yes. So of course, as I said, it's been always one team, multiple locations. So it's difficult to say that we do only in Budapest certain activities. Although yes, there are certain areas where Budapest is leading, and one of that is what I've mentioned before, is the virtual audio simulation. For example, it's the area that has been set up here in Budapest with the support of the other teams. The majority of activities are happening here in Budapest.
I'm going to come in with a sort of an acoustics question, just because it's purely out of technical interest. What kind of simulation methods do you use for to do that?
The idea behind these activities is to be able to build the acoustic model of the vehicle without or before we even start building the prototypes. Yep. And by doing that, what we can do, I've mentioned about kind of validating the ideas as early as possible. We can make sure that the car will sound as good as possible before we even are able to sit in this car and listen to it. That gives our engineers, our acoustic engineers, a much better start when the car is built and they move to the calibration stage. Because they already have some certain base level of acoustics understood and known.
Yes, and so this includes sound design. So how the engine or the drivetrain is going to influence the experience, and also just the general driving noises that are kind of the disturbance to the driver, and audio as a package, or are you focusing on specific aspects of?
At the moment, we focus on the entertainment audio, let's call it. Although here in Budapest, although of course the active noise cancellation, active noise creation. That's also part of the scope for the future.
Nice, cool.
And if you think about it, so one of the main outputs of this work stream that Lukasz and the team are leading is to create very clear requirements for the mechanical integration, so that the position of the speakers or within the car, or I don't know, some tolerances, material tolerances that we need to take into account, or some gaps or some distances between the components, because this can create noise. And it's quite helpful.
Yet acoustics is one of those aspects of vehicle development that is, to begin with, is a complex physical phenomenon, and then it influences pretty much everything every component that is inside the car. I'm sorry, I can go on about acoustics. I don't want to sideline the conversation. I had to delve a little bit deeper into that.
But you can take it offline. When it comes to body chassis, if I am to follow Lukasz's example, so when we mention body chassis engineering Hungary, there are a few things that are coming in people's mind. Again, I would minimize other people's contribution, and my intention is not to minimize anyone's contribution. But two main things that can pop out when you say body chassis Hungary within the Jaguar Land Rover world is system engineering and the delivery of the vehicles that we produce in Nitra. So those would be the two things that pop up immediately. It doesn't mean that control engineering is not as equally important. It doesn't mean that model-based system engineering or any other activities we are doing within the teams with body chassis.
But it's great that in 5 years of operations, you're already at the stage where you're renowned for these things within the brand. I think that's pretty impressive.
Actually, what responsibilities are included in body chassis engineering? Because you mentioned a lot of things which are very, very far away from each other, like control systems or
control system is
mechanical design, and those things are not connected immediately.
Let me think about it. Let me answer it with the way I am organizing. We are organizing our team here in Hungary. So within body chassis, we go through. Everyone is in Agile, by the way, in Jaguar Land Rover. So everyone works in Agile. So we have what we call chapters. Mm-hmm. Okay. So within my team, we have system engineering chapters, and we have 2 system engineering chapters, which is one big chapter within body interiors and exteriors. We have a system engineering chapter in suspension. We have a system engineering charter in motion architecture. So motion meaning moving the car. Okay. And we have a control engineering chapter within motion again. When I mean control, I mean really control theory. So like the academical studies that we need to do to have the control theory. So you mentioned earlier, it's quite funny, your colleague said we should stay a certain distance from the microphone, and wherever we move, our heads, we need to keep the mouth close the same distance. That's called control.
Yeah.
You see? So if you know the chicken, there is a chicken type of commercial. It is amazing.
I remember that. I think.
So that's the left side of the V, I would say. We have then 2 mechanical integration chapters, which one is body interior and body exteriors, and they're mainly focusing on product development and product delivery, so component level. When it comes to functions and to roles and responsibilities, we have chapter leads, we have a lot of product owners, we have feature owners, system owners, we have lead engineers, we have technical specialists. What else? We have Scrum Masters. Yes, I was about to forget. We also have a Scrum Master chapter. And Alexandra, she's going to be very upset when she's going to see this.
Yeah, the trouble when asking about listing up some things from our company is always somebody gets left behind. And
so let me phrase my answer in a completely different way. For a new starter, he already has a career path ahead of him with multiple choices.
Mm-hmm. It definitely sounds like that, the breadth of activities. And when we speak of the breadth of activities, because we are kind of getting towards the end of the episode now, but you mentioned, and I know that you cannot talk too specifically about this, but you already mentioned at the beginning that you will be growing, and you will be growing quite a bit. Can you give us a peek behind the curtain a little bit to what's coming?
We will answer the question with a question, and then I will explain.
You like doing that?
Okay. So imagine you are an engineer working for an OEM. What are you producing? Why is your work important? What is your work generating? And don't tell me added value and everything. That's not what I'm after.
Cars.
Okay, for what?
For people.
For people. Yeah. So what you actually generating through your work, if you take the cars out? Experiences. Okay? So you generate customer experience or user experiences. You generate experiences. Okay? The way we are set up right now within Jaguar Land Rover, and I'm not trying to spoil it, by the way, with all the system and subsystem decomposition, creates a certain value of experiences. But if you think it through and what's happening in the world right now and how the psychology of the customer changes, they will be after experiences. They will be after a driving experience, or they will be after an adventure experience with the Defender. They will be after a camping experience. For example, you take the Defender, go in the wilderness, and then you sleep in your Defender, or you have a Range Rover Sport where you want to feel the driving experience and everything, So we are focusing more and more on experiences, and we are putting more value within experiences. So this is one of the areas where body chassis engineering will grow a lot in the future, and we allow Hungarian engineers to be involved in the decision making process very, very early in the development in the project life cycle management of a vehicle.
That sounds interesting, and you have catched us with this experience thing, and it's indeed important because as an engineer, it's hard to forget that in the end, people are going to use your product, and you are working on a quite small piece of it. But it's very hard to see that how this small piece is going to affect the experience in the end. And to have a country example, I have heard or seen an issue in a project in which there was an issue that one signal has oscillated a little bit. It hasn't affected any performance. The measurement was simply too good and noticed an oscillation which was already there, but haven't caused any visible effect on any part or any experience. And it consumed a lot of people time just to eliminate that oscillation, but it was not necessarily eliminated at all, because it haven't caused any influence on the experience itself in the end. And if you forget the focus, then it's easy to waste your time on not necessary things.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that comes back to how a business then in the end operates, because you have to focus on these influencing factors and ultimately catch the buyer and catch your target consumer who will eventually end up buying the product, and it's exactly going to be these kind of experiences, because when engineers talk about cars and development, you easily get caught in numbers and kind of lateral and longitudinal accelerations and whatnot, which is it's rarely a reason why somebody picks a specific car. I mean, if you speak of track tools, then yeah, but normally no. And translating these user experiences into engineering measurable dimensions is something that's a big challenge, and the conceptual decisions have to be made pretty early, and then the involvement of the team is super important.
And this is just the body chassis engineering side, so. Yeah. Lukasz can speak about the growth within digital platform.
Exactly, that's what I was going to lead into. You can take over you don't really need us. I'm joking.
I have felt though at certain points of this episode that you are telling very much on your own, and we are not even necessary for that.
Sorry.
That's actually very welcome.
Absolutely.
We are happy that if we are making our life easier.
And so, Lukasz, what's the growth in your area?
We are having almost all areas are growing. So what I've mentioned before, electronics, acoustics. We are also looking into bringing new activities into the market. I'm not gonna say any spoilers here. I would say just keep an eye on the careers page, and they will appear there. I think. What Daniel has said is extremely important because we have to remember that it's easy to get caught into this. Let's develop things for the sake of developing and engineering, forgetting that ultimately this product will be used by the customers, and this product has to meet a certain requirements, and that's what's extremely important actually to start with, is to understand the requirements, and that's something that I don't think we talked about today, but actually part of defining the requirements for the product is really the basis of engineering, but it's extremely important, because without that it's very easy to kind of go into the direction which ultimately you will create a product which won't meet the expectations.
Yeah. And so you're also involved in that in your current daily jobs as well, to define these requirements, and that's also
definitely. Half of my team is working on that. So.
Nice. Yeah, because that's the fundamental challenge.
And there is a third thing that I wanted to mention, and throughout this discussion we didn't mention it, and I feel obliged actually to mention. We're not only delivering products. Also deliver process methods and tools for the entire company.
Nice.
I think this is important, and we have a dedicated team within product engineering that is focusing on that.
It's very important to take your time and actually sharpen the axe when we are chopping wood. So
yes,
it's easy to forget about that one.
That's a great metaphor, David.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I think at this point, I really want to thank Daniel and Lukasz for being here.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you very much.
It was a very interesting conversation to me. And I hope that our audience enjoyed it as well. Thank you for following along with us, and keep a lookout for new episodes in the future as well. Thanks for being here, and thank you for being with us. Bye-bye.